You are listening to the Why Smart Women podcast, the podcast that helps smart women work out why we repeatedly make the wrong decisions and how to make better ones. From relationships, career choices, finances, to faux fur jackets and kale smoothies. Every moment of every day, we're making decisions. Let's make them good ones. I'm your host, Annie McCubbin, and as a woman of a certain age, I've made my own share of really bad decisions. Not my husband. I don't mean him, though. I did go through some shockers to find him. And I wish this podcast had been around to save me from myself. This podcast will give you insights into the working of your own brain, which will blow your mind. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm recording, and you are listening on this day. Always was, always will be, Aboriginal land. Well, hello smart women, and welcome back to the Why Smart Women podcast. Today, I am broadcasting from Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, on the northern beaches. It is a beautiful spring day. Sorry to show off, but it truly is. And later on, I'll be going down for a swim in the ocean. David, will you be going for a swim in the ocean?
Oh, look, I would very much like to. Actually, I was thinking just then, you said that you were broadcasting, aren't you? Podcasting?
Is it different?
I think so. I think broadcasting would be that it's being sent to a broad range of receiving devices, televisions and radios and things like that. But
maybe it is.
We're podcasting from the northern beaches.
Oh, we're podcasting.
Not that it matters.
It sort of doesn't.
Not that it matters. I was just kind of... I was curious about that particular thought when you threw it to me.
I get a bit vague on all that. I get a bit vague. Anyway,
Doesn't matter.
Wherever you are in the world, and welcome, because we now have listeners in Jamaica. And
oh, my goodness. Gee, I hope the Jamaicans are okay after the cyclone.
Yes. Exactly.
I mean, that looked absolutely devastating.
Yeah. Gee, guys, hope you're okay there. Hello to our listeners in Tokyo. And Nova Scotia.
And Nova Scotia, Canada, lovely. And all those closer to home as well. Yes,
hello. So this is part 2 of our podcast on humour and the uses of humour, and, you know, is laughter handy? And today we're going to look at it in a more broader sense. So in our last edition, we talked about how laughter physically affects you, what it does to your brain, and how good it is to be able to laugh at life's foibles and tribulations. And today we're going to broaden it out a bit. And I thought I'd start by going back to 2021 when COVID hit. Yes?
Well, yes.
20.
I mean, it was really 20 that it did hit. COVID-19, it emerged at the end of that year.
Oh, that's true. Yes, it's silly me.
So 20 into 21, yeah, it had a long tail, that's for sure.
And I can remember when it actually began, and they talked about how long it was going to take them to develop a vaccine for it. And I remember thinking at the time, this is awesome, because now we're in the middle of a pandemic. This is going to be the end of all the sort of anti-vax activism. I thought that's going to be the end of it. Everyone's going to realise we're in this really dreadful situation. You know, the bodies were building up in New York. It was just all going haywire. You know, we had to socially distance. We couldn't leave our houses. It was devastating. And I remember thinking, well, that's great, because finally they're going to have to lay down and get vaccinated. And instead of that, what happened, David?
Well, I mean, people said no.
They got worse.
I mean, some did. Not everybody did. You know, I think we have to acknowledge that the majority of the population actually accepted the advice of the scientists and followed the rules and did what needed to be done, and thereby containing the devastating consequences of the virus.
Yes, and that's true. We did quite well. We had very high vaccination rates, even though they're now dropping a bit because of the stupidity of the anti-vax movement and the fact that they're still banging on about turbo cancers and all the rest of it. Anyway, they're mad. Anyway, so that happened, and I became infuriated about this, about the lack of critical thinking. So what did I do with my fury?
Well, you wrote a second book.
I wrote a first book.
What? Was Why Smart Women Make Bad Decisions 2021?
Wasn't it?
I thought it was earlier than that.
Was it?
I don't know. I could have my dates all wrong. Ah, no, that's right. No, yeah, Why Smart Women Make Bad Decisions was published in 21. And, Why Smart Women Buy the Lies was 23. I am so sorry, Annie.
I don't care. I'm terrible with dates. Anyway.
I got that history wrong. So, you were tremendously frustrated by the lack of critical thinking and you wanted to correct that. So did you write a, dusty scientific
serious
treatise on the nature of critical thinking?
No.
No. Why not?
No.
Surely that's what was required.
No, I did not.
People needed to be corrected.
Well, there's plenty of books on critical thinking, but they're all written by men, and they're all pretty dry and academic. And I thought, because it was pretty important that we managed to get this point across, that people were making very poor health decisions. So I wrote a comedic book, Why Smart Women Make Bad Decisions. Please, if you are listening to this, you can get the audio book if you're not so much a reader. It's been...
Oh, the audio book is fabulous.
It is.
I actually reckon the audio books are even better than the book experience, but then maybe that's because of the way that my brain works and I like to listen to stories out loud. But the audio books are fantastic and they are really funny. Some fantastic comedic performances from the actors. So
I wrote this book that was comedic. So why would I use comedy and humour to actually extrapolate on something, to describe something, to challenge something that is so deeply, deeply important to me? Why would I do that?
Yeah, do you know what? That
was rhetorical, but please answer.
No, well, the answer to that question, it is not that you thought that you needed to employ a tried and tested technique that would engage and transport readers, etc. You have instincts for comedy. You wrote it that way because that's what you like to write. And I think that you write that way because you know that you like writing that way, because you know the effect that humour just has on people. You've done lots of theatre. And there's nothing like doing a great play that's really, really funny and having an audience laugh.
Having the wave of an audience, the laughter wave coming at you on stage, the ripple of laughter coming at you on stage. There is absolutely nothing like it.
Yeah, it's absolutely joyous, and to know that you've kind of contributed in making an audience of 500 people absolutely crack up and laugh together is tremendously satisfying.
The best thing ever. Sorry, go on. Go.
But I was going to say, that's in the theatre. I know that when we go about designing a development experience, a training program, if we're looking at something like performance conversations or, how to induct somebody or how to, help them to overcome, psychological challenges and things like that, when we're teaching that stuff, we always dramatise in comedic styles.
Well, it actually, we know that it has cut through, right? We know it has cut through. That laughter, if you have a group of people laughing, there is an automatic sort of receptivity in the brain of a group experience, and there's something about a group experience, right?
Yeah. When we laugh at the same things, there's a implicit message that we share the same values. Think about that.
Yeah.
Why does an audience of 500 people find the same thing funny? Well, they all share the same values around, people being destabilized or people being deceptive or people being caught out.
It's almost like a contagion as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a contagion that travels because, again, we share the same values, which is a very psychologically, satisfying and stabilising experience.
Did I tell you what happened when I took Yo-Yo and Ryder to the surf beach?
Oh, you came back a bit frazzled after that.
Well, yeah. So, I have spoken before on the podcast about the fact that Mona Vale Beach is now being designated a dog beach. And this is prior to Ryder's disaster with the Lululemon sock.
Yeah.
Which he's still recovering from, and we've had to, instruct Yo-Yo not to give him any more socks.
Yes.
Because she was behind it. Anyway, So I took them to the Mona Vale Beach.
They would have been very excited to arrive there.
Oh, they were excited. And it was the most glorious, abundant, wonderful sort of social experience. They were bounding through the waves and they loved it.
There would have been at least 100 doggies there, I would think.
Yeah, there was a lot of the doggies. Anyway, and so I was there because you were somewhere and I was there on my own.
Oh.
So what happened was, so they're bounding through this beautiful, and then it gets to the time where you have to clear the beach because it's limited time. So I've got one lead and I've hooked one end into Ryder's collar.
Yep.
Now, the first thing that happened was that the clasp on the lead, right?
Yes.
Had gone crunchy because there was salt and I couldn't hook it on.
Okay.
Right. So I'm hanging on to Yo-Yo with my left hand and Ryder with my right hand, and I had to say to some woman on the beach, would you mind, because I do have arthritis in my thumbs, would you mind clipping this onto the dog? So she said, sure. And then she tried and she said, oh my God, I can't. I said, never mind. So then I hooked the lead. I had Yo-Yo hooked and then I threaded the lead through Ryder's collar and I made my way up the beach, right?
This is a gripping amount of detail.
It's gripping, but it's correct.
Okay.
And then Yo-Yo did a poo.
Okay.
So then I've got to stop.
What, on the pathway back up the hill?
On the sand. I'm still on the sand.
On the sand,
Keep up. I'm on the sand. I'm heading towards the pathway. It's a long way up. I'm on the sand. She does a poo. I've got to stop. I've got to pick that up. So I get halfway up the beach. Then Ryder turns and sees a Labrador. So he then runs off. And what he does is he runs off and he runs off so quickly.
Towards the Labrador
Towards
or
the
away?
Labrador who was back down the beach at near the foreshore. He runs off with such alacrity that he rips Yo-Yo's collar off her completely. Mm-hmm. So he then runs down the beach. He's then got the whole lead and Yo-Yo's collar. So I'm there, right? Now, as we know, Yo-Yo is an escape artist.
Yep.
And what was about to happen, she was about to run off and, I don't know, run to Manly or Adelaide or Perth or something. The dog's unstoppable, right?
Yep.
So I've grabbed hold of Yo-Yo just by her fur and I've still got the poo bag. Right?
Yes.
And I turn around and he's humping the Labrador.
Oh.
Well, he loves Labradors. He loves to hump Labradors. And especially, right, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, yes.
Well, it's true.
Okay.
I mean, I know he's your favourite dog, but he's got a bad habit.
Okay. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
he's humping a Labrador.
And I know that the Labrador's owner probably wouldn't have been terribly
The Labrador
enthused.
wasn't thrilled and the owner wasn't thrilled. So then I had to say to this couple that were near me, can you please hang on to the black dog? Don't let her go. There's no collar while I go back and get him. So then this nice couple held on to Yo-Yo by her fur. I handed the girl the poo bag. She held on to that. I ran back down the beach. Right.
Okay.
I grab Yo-Yo off the Labrador.
No.
Ryder off the Labrador.
Yep.
So then he runs back into the surf.
Right.
So then he's in the surf after some other dog's ball and then some owner's cranky because they had that ball ownership bullshit going on. So then I get Yo-Yo out of the surf. I go back up the beach. He does a poo on the way.
Yes.
So then I've got two poo bags.
Two poo bags.
I get up
two dogs.
I get up to Yo-Yo. I manage to get the collar back on Yo-Yo, right?
Yes.
And then he ran off again.
Right. This is a tremendous amount of detail.
I know, but it's necessary.
Okay. All right.
It's interesting and necessary.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you've got dogs going in all directions.
All directions.
You know,
and I'm
the number
very
of poo
stressed.
bags is
and
mounting.
I've got, at this point, there's 4 people on the beach trying to assist me to get the dogs off the beach. 4 people. And then Rowena, my friend, she came down with Jack, her Labrador, because I'd been so long.
Not another Labrador.
Mm. And he's very prone to humping Jack.
Did Jack catch Labrador's? Sorry, did Jack catch Ryder's eye?
Yeah. So then Ryder ran towards Jack because he thought he's more humping opportunity, right? So then I get onto the stairs and then Rowena comes back down, and at this point I can't hook either of the class in because they're so salt encrusted.
Okay. Yes.
I get up to the top.
Right.
Now, then I get up the top. The dogs are covered in sand in my beautiful new electric car, right?
Right,
so then I go to the shower area
Yep.
where I'm trying to get the dogs underneath the shower. And this other boy comes over that had already helped me on the beach, and he said, let me help you. So I'm hanging on to Yo-Yo, and he's trying to push Yo-Yo into the shower stream. And then I turned the shower on, and Yo-Yo wasn't under the shower, I was. Mm-hmm. So I was then drenched. The dogs were sand encrusted.
Yes.
I was completely drenched. And then I tried to put my track pants back on. The whole thing was a disaster. I got them back in the car, and Rowena and I went and drank wine, and I looked homeless.
Okay, this is dreadful. No civilized woman should have to deal with such a disaster.
I will never take those dogs to Mona Vale Beach on my own, as long as God is my witness.
Okay.
I will never be hungry again.
Yeah.
As God is my witness, I will never ever take those dogs to the beach ever again. I hate them. I hated them so much at that point.
All right.
But
okay.
then after I got in the car and we decided to go and get a glass of wine, which I threw down my throat, berating the dogs at great length.
What is this? It is 10 o'clock in the morning.
No, darling, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
I don't day drink.
The twilight.
Keep up.
The twilight
When
shift.
have you ever known me to day drink?
I wish you'd start.
I don't day drink. I will never day drink. I don't like it. Anyway, so then we got there, and then we sat there, and I was sopping wet. I looked homeless. I don't mean to laugh at the homeless. That was mean. I would track that. No, I won't. It's true. I did look homeless. And we sat there with me hating on the dogs, and we laughed a lot about that. That's all I've got to say about that.
Okay, and the moral of the story is...
Go on.
I don't know. You're telling the story.
well-
It's your moral.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's back to that point, and we are going to. I had to tell that story though because I had to get it off my chest.
If you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Well, I could. It's a bit like the bush turkey on the
brush turkey.
bush.
Bush, okay. Bush turkey.
If you don't, laugh at this situation, then you get upset. And I could have got really upset because I was very cold and wet, and the dogs were awful.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm glad you didn't. It's a bit of a first world problem. Your dog's running off when you take them to Mona Vale Beach for a swim.
Well, yeah.
Keeping the sand out of your new electric car.
Yeah, it does sound pretty. It is a bit special, isn't it?
Yeah. But
it's my reality.
Exactly. And when you're in the middle of it, I think what you're saying is that it two things helped. Number one was the ability to laugh at it, and the second was the wine. And your friend, Rowena.
No, also on the beach.
On the beach.
That was my point. I knew on the beach.
The kindness of strangers?
I'm relying upon the kindness of strangers. On the beach, we were also laughing, and there is that collective experience of laughter. So back to the notion, I guess, of social change, comedy and social change, which is back to my book. I've really diverted us then with the dog story. Sorry, everybody, but it's quite a good story.
Actually, the story that you just told was very similar to the story, the opening, the opening scene of Why Smart Women Buy the Lies. Yeah. When your protagonist is questioning why, being a smart woman, she chose to buy a large caramel groodle.
Yeah, that's exactly right. At the beginning of my book, I couldn't get the character couldn't get the dog into the car.
Back into the car.
And it was interesting how I went from look how wonderful and glorious these canine creatures are, frolicking freely in the waves and playing with all their mates, to I hate them so much, and why didn't I buy a small dog like a Pekingese?
Yeah, bastard dogs.
If I'd got a Pekingese, I could have just picked a Pekingese.
A Pekingese?
What are they called? What are they called?
They're called brush dogs. No, Pekingese.
What?
They're Pekingese.
Aren't they Pekingese?
Pekingese?
What?
Pekingese.
Pekingese?
They're Pekingese dogs.
Are you sure?
Yeah. They're not Pekingese.
I've always called them Pekingese.
Pekingese? Like pick.
Like a Pekingese?
No. They're dogs from Peking.
Oh, are they?
From Peking. That's why they are Pekingese dogs.
I didn't know that.
I think it's true.
Okay. Anyway, to my point, I'd wished frequently when they're presenting me with these problems that I had two Pekingese.
Yeah.
I could pick them up under one arm each, one hand each, and shove them in water.
Yes, indeed.
And
you could wash them in the sink.
And the fur wouldn't collect, the fur's not then going to collect the sand like Yo-Yo does.
Okay, so you're full of regret for buying large sandy dogs, and you don't let it completely overwhelm you because you're with a friend, you have a glass of wine.
Well, I did it at the time.
Laugh.
I was pretty overwhelmed and feeling a bit humiliated about my lack of control. And I think people were looking at me going, but maybe they weren't looking at me going, what's wrong with you?
Spotlight effect?
Spotlight effect. Yeah. I think they were quite compassionate and nice, and we laughed. So we did a lot of laughing.
And there you go. Most of the people in the world are good.
to my point.
To the point.
Doesn't mean you don't have to be careful
Doesn't
about
mean you
people who are not good.
Some people are not good, but most people are pretty good.
So back to the notion of humour and laughter, let's talk about it in the role of social change.
Yeah,
because that was my thing on my book. I wanted social change. I wanted people to understand that to apply some critical thinking to the vaccine question was a really, really good idea, and not get caught up in conspiracy theories.
Can I tell you a little bit of research that I've done into the attitude of the ancient philosophers around humour?
Please do.
And laughter. I mean, we're saying that this is a good thing, that it's very helpful for us to be able to laugh at our misfortunes.
Plato didn't think it was good, did he?
No. I mean, Plato, Aristotle, the Stoics, they thought that laughter was actually intemperate. That it actually represented a loss of control. I do think that those ancient Greeks, as fabulous as they were, I think they probably took themselves a bit too seriously.
Taking yourself seriously is a very, very, very desperately bad thing.
Yeah, and it could be because those ancient Greek societies were so jolly patriarchal. All the boys were trying to outcompete one another with how meaningful and wise they were. And this idea that humour was a good thing, well, no, it's not, because when we laugh, we lose control. And so laughter as a social activity, in some instances has been admired and praised, and in other instances it's been strongly criticised.
Well, I guess the underlying question would have to be, what is the point of the humour and the laughter?
Well,
because it may be cruel or it may be helpful, correct?
Absolutely. I think we can cut forward to, a couple of thousand years from Aristotle and Plato to a philosopher that, to be honest, I never really associated with humour and laughter, and that is the nihilist Friedrich Nietzsche. We know about Friedrich Nietzsche.
Isn't Nietzsche the whole existential business?
No, he's a nihilist.
Yeah.
His view is that, we live in this, a mechanistic universe. Nothing has any meaning whatsoever. It's just the meaning that we make of it. It's a window into just how pointless and silly and brutal human life can be, which all sounds rather dark. But Nietzsche actually describes what is one of the most optimistic and joyful modes of humour that is in the literature. But we'll start with the negative one. I mean, Nietzsche himself recognised that when people get together, they can sometimes laugh in ways that are really cruel.
Like what?
Well, he referred to this as the laughter of the crowd. So, in the
like
AFL,
in a schoolyard.
Well, okay, we can start in the schoolyard. Yeah, so
like a kid falls over.
A kid falls over.
And people go, ha, loser.
Yeah, loser, and that happens in the playground. Now, unfortunately, the same dynamic was happening at football grounds with the AFL, and in particular, the racial vilification of great players like Eddie Betts, and let me find his name. Who was the great? Who was the
Good? Adam Good.
Adam Goods. Yeah. Eddie Betts.
Are you impressed I knew that?
I am super impressed that you knew that.
I came up with a sporting name.
Yes, and Harrison's probably going to edit it out.
No, he's not. He's going to leave it in.
Don't we need to protect your brand, that you are, hostile to any football references and things like that?
Yeah, but I'm just so marvellously intelligent.
Okay, so Eddie Betts, Adam Goods. I mean, Adam Goods, he was booed by crowds at games, and people would laugh at it. Yeah, I mean, it was like this
mocking.
It was a mocking laughter, and that's a great example of the laughter of the herd. It's contemptuous, it's mocking, it's superior, and it's not the kind of humour that creates a lot of value for us as a society.
Horrible.
But Nietzsche contrasts this laughter of the herd with the laughter of the heights.
Hang on, so with that laughter of the herd, I guess that gets into that whole area of sort of like a contagion, isn't it? Like if you laugh cruelly at somebody, because we like the idea of being part of an identity, a team identity, right?
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah.
People are desperate for an identity and something that they can say, I belong to this group.
Yeah.
Right? So if you laugh cruelly, and I might be sitting next to you going, I I don't find that funny, but because my identity is tied up, it's identity protective cognition.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you only have to, imagine the last MAGA rally that you attended or that you watched. I mean, Donald Trump is a master.
For anybody who doesn't live in America like we don't, just in case you've been living under a rock for the last,
I have
3
to define
years.
MAGA.
Yeah,
Donald
MAGA.
Trump's, make America great.
Again.
Make America great again.
And MAHA, make America healthy again by not using vaccines and avoiding seed oils. Oh my God!
Okay, so there's lots to laugh at about this, but I mean, if you remember Trump's impersonation of the I think it was a cerebral palsy reporter.
Oh my God, that was so cruel.
And everybody laughed at that.
He gave them permission to.
Yeah, that's right. And Trump does this black humor. Let's give law enforcement one day to act without any guardrails. Go in and beat up the bad guys. Beat up the enemy within. And again, it's like there's a laughter with that, and it is contemptuous. It's superior. It does is it's mocking because it reinforces us and them. We are better than them, and we get to laugh at you. So that's your laughter of the herd.
So that's the sort of the laughter of sort of superiority, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The laughter of the heights, as he describes it, it's when you laugh, and it's kind of just like a joyful release. So,
like what?
Like okay. You know how sometimes when people have a near-death experience, they might have to swerve in traffic, or they avoid
the plane crashes and they're the only survivor. Is that a bit dark?
Gee, that's way dark. Does that work? When you survive something, and when people laugh in response to a traumatic event,
yeah.
or having survived a risky activity, and we laugh. Nietzsche referred to this as the laughter of the heights.
So let's just say you go and bungee jump.
Yeah.
Which I would never do because I don't want my retinas to detach.
Yeah, okay. But you do the bungee jump, you've got all the tension beforehand, away you go, you do the jump, and then you are laughing, maniacally at the end of the elastic band after your bungee jump. Laughter of the heights.
Not me, because I wouldn't.
So you're not going to do... Okay, so...
but you might.
Let me think. When have I seen you... do something like that?
Probably never, because I don't take physical risks.
Yeah.
I'll take risks like I'll do a comedy thing in front of 600 people.
Yes.
I'll do that sort of risk, but I don't do physical. The biggest riskiest thing I do is splush about in the shallows in winter. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's just acknowledge that there are these at least two different ways of using laughter. Number one, to be contemptuous. Number two, to actually have that joyful release that that you've survived, and that that you're basically dealing with whatever life throws at you. The laughter of the heights.
Yeah. So how do all these? I mean, because when I think about the most potent and accurate commentators of social issues, in my mind, the ones that have the most accuracy are comedians.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, yes.
They tend to be able
yes.
to dig through. And now, why is that? And why are that? And and if you think about it, what is causing the most threat to Trump? Who does he want to shut down the most?
Well, I mean, when you're talking about this, I think of Stephen Colbert, and yes, his show has been cancelled. It will end in March.
So if anybody's listening to this that is not either American or watches American TV in Australia, Stephen Colbert is a late night host in America, along with Jimmy Kimmel and along with Seth Meyers.
Yeah, that's right.
Other ones.
And Kimmel was also taken off air. Because of comments that he made about Charlie Kirk that were in no way inflammatory, but you could tell that the administration was looking for an excuse. There was an uproar, and Kimmel's back.
Okay, so what happened was, you're going too quickly on that. So Jimmy Kimmel made comments about Charlie Kirk, who was recently assassinated, who was a right-wing supporter of Donald Trump. And I think that the most disturbing thing about this, and which sort of helps you to understand the power of comedy, is that Trump is so threatened by these comedians that he agitates for the great big corporations who actually own them to take them off air.
Yeah. And so you've got Seth Meyers is now getting veiled threats in Trump's tweets, where he thinks that Seth Meyers, because of the comedy routines that he does, he said it's maybe illegal, which is particularly frightening.
100% illegal.
Yeah, 100% illegal. No. It was 100% unfunny, or he has no talent.
No. He said it was probably 100% illegal to say anti-Trump things.
Probably 100%. So yes, it's getting under their skin. It's getting under Trump's skin. Now,
he doesn't like being mocked. People in positions of power, we often find, and if you look at this historically, people in positions of power do not like being mocked, because what mockery does is it takes the seriousness out of their positions. It diminishes them, and they don't like it.
Well, actually, I think it does something before that, and that is it actually draws attention. It draws attention to the thing that needs to be, that needs to be evaluated. It draws attention to it. And because it's funny and we can expect that people are going to laugh at it, then people are much more likely to tune in to something that is funny. The thing about all of these comedians, and I got to say, we have to include South Park on the list, which is diabolically, courageous. Inflammatory. The size of Donald Trump's body parts and, his motivation in terms of getting rid of his
maybe
former
what it does is it lowers, it disarms people, don't you think?
Well, it disarms people who want to say, look, we shouldn't look at this. Nothing to see here. No, we are looking because this is actually funny. These comedians, they do play two games at the same time. On one hand, there are the jokes, and on the other hand is the social commentary. And you will see all of these comedians, Colbert, Kimmel, Myers. You'll see South Park. You'll see in Australia, people like Sean McAuliffe or Kitty Flanagan and Tom Gleeson. We have Australian comedians who are skewering the sacred cows and building comedy shows on social commentary.
Remember, so somebody like Pete Evans, who was a
My Kitchen Rules.
Co-host. He was a very famous, very good-looking chef, charming.
Yeah.
And what happened was he completely lost the frigging plot. Like, he went so far down the rabbit hole of conspiracy thinking that he was fired from everything. He used to write cookbooks. He used to write cookbooks, and then he wrote one that suggested giving babies bone broth because he was into the stupid paleo diet at the time. Anyway, that was taken off the shelves. He's a complete lunatic now. He's got the worst haircut. He's got a haircut that's shaved at the side and looks like a possum has taken residence on his head. It's the worst haircut like ever.
You're the detail queen today, aren't you? All of these digressions.
Yeah, but I'm right about the haircut.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the haircut.
So the thing is that Pete Evans, is now the favourite of the conspiracy theorist mob, right? He's the favourite of the anti-vaxxers because no vaccine is going near his temple, even though he fills it with whatever else he's taking. Also, his wife is full of Botox. His girlfriend. So, I don't know what's going on there. They won't have a vaccine, but they'll have neurotoxin. Anyway, so he was getting pretty influential. And then Tom Gleeson on Hard Quiz had an absolute shot at him. And I remember looking at it at the time and going, there's the potent response. That is going to diminish him more than people going online debunking what he was saying. One line from Tom Gleeson that was mocking him was way more influential.
Yeah, and you think about the sort of the really famous comedians who are at the top of their game. You've got Ricky Gervais. You've got
totally.
You've got Dave Chappelle, Sarah Silverman. Is it Nikki Nikki Trammell, Nikki Gell. No, forget that last one.
Forget that.
You got Chappelle. You got Sarah Silverman.
You said that.
I know. I was giving him a cut
Oh,
point.
sorry.
You got Silverman. You've got Michelle Wolf.
Oh, she's fantastic.
And I mean, Michelle Wolf came to prominence when she did the White House Correspondents' Dinner. My goodness, how has the White House correspondence community been diminished in the last few years? But
oh my God.
yeah, I mean, these the comedians, they have this each way bet. It's just a joke, but actually their social commentary is extremely well thought out. All of these people that we have mentioned are, without doubt, above average intelligence. They are all geniuses in their own way.
With incredible critical thinking skills.
With incredible critical thinking skills, and they can find the preposterous nature of the propositions that are coming from the targets of their humour, and they can find ways of building them into stories, and they are tremendously funny. So this is how humour can actually be harnessed in order to drive social change.
Yeah, and so I think, we're all, I think all of us and probably all my listeners at various times in their lives are frustrated by something that is going on socially. Are we not?
Yeah.
There's always something on, in the stratosphere where you're like, not the stratosphere, there's always something in the environment then you're like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that you're actually going to propagate that notion?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see the federal opposition in Australia actually get their act together so that they can be a useful opposition and hold the government to account.
And not just talk about T-shirts.
Around the stuff that matters.
Yeah. So what can we do as individuals, just individuals in our community, or maybe not just, small groups, small communities, how can we use humour? Because what happens is I think we end up feeling so powerless, especially at the moment in this current social atmosphere when there's just so much rubbish being spoken.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got my voice because I've got the podcast where I can debunk and challenge. Yeah. But what can listeners do when you're frustrated? How can you use humour to challenge the things that are happening in your communities?
I mean, is that Is that a
rhetorical? It's not rhetorical.
It's not rhetorical.
No.
Would you like me to have a crack at answering that?
Have a crack. Yeah. You're good at having a crack.
Well, I reckon the first thing to do is to think critically about the way that you are reading the situation. And if you are going to be using humour, is it the humour, the laughter of the crowd? Are you using humour to simply denigrate, to demonstrate your superiority, to create an us and them, to remind the others just how inferior they are?
Yeah, please, if you happen to be racist and listening, do not use humour to further your racist notions. I don't think anybody listening to this is going to be racist.
No.
If you are racist, go away.
Well, there is a point of view that we're all racist. That we are actually all racist. That is the human condition.
We're tribal. We challenge our thinking,
tribal,
though, don't we?
And the way that we are raised will turn that particular, instinct or intuition into something that is...
I do wish you hadn't said that.
Okay.
Anyway, keep going
All
with
right.
your other
Okay.
thoughts.
So how do you want to use the humour? Or is the humour of actually just, taking our attention to it, acknowledging the fact that this really shouldn't be happening? It really shouldn't be happening that, America's great institutions are being dismantled. It really shouldn't be happening that the Australian opposition are, completely incapable of working out what it is that they should be focusing on. This really shouldn't be happening that my dogs are misbehaving at the beach and I can't get them under control. And when there's that laughter of recognition, we're actually laughing about our capacity to accept and survive those things, as much as it is about drawing attention to it.
What can they do to actually affect change by using humour?
Well, I mean, if you're giving advice to somebody, I think it would be important to establish whether the person you were giving advice to felt that they can be funny. Do they have the writing skills? Do they have the narrative skills?
Yeah.
Can they tell a joke?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh, look, don't ask me to tell you a joke. I asked Harrison to tell me a joke yesterday and his face went completely blank.
Harrison, really? Disappointed.
So, I mean, okay.
I'm not one for jokes either.
Okay. Well, yeah, but you are one for telling funny stories.
I am.
And the thing about your funny stories is that you always cast yourself as someone who is a bit out of control. You know, you're very self-deprecating with the funny stories.
Yes,
that
because
you tell.
because if you're going to be funny, then you can't look like you're in control all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, people are way more interested in our failures.
Yeah.
Right? Then it's people that I've come across in my life, and whenever they tell you a story, they're always the heroes of their own story.
Yeah.
And honestly, I want to go to sleep listening to them.
So I think that the simple piece of advice is don't take yourself so seriously. Is that right?
I think so. And also,
I mean, I actually reckon that Aristotle, Plato, and the Stoics took themselves very, very seriously, and I think that that's why they give humour a bad rap.
But if you're in a community, right?
Yeah.
And you're, like yesterday, I was down at the beach. It sounds like that's all I do.
Yeah, you're a lady of leisure.
I'm not. I'm very busy.
Here's to the ladies who drink, they drink.
And the man next to me, which is just always the way,
He was
one of those. He was nice. He was one of those sort of deeply suntanned Australian men of a certain age with a sort of a small dog staring at the beach, and he. Of course, he said, something about the beach or something, or there was more whales. And I said, that'd be climate change. He said, I don't believe in that. And I went, yeah, of course you don't, because you can't see it with your own eyes. So do we have, funny little, I don't know, bits of repartee? How do we challenge that sort of thinking with humour?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, unfortunately, this does require a bit of perspective. I'm sitting next to somebody who doesn't think that climate change is real. They feel comfortable in articulating that perspective to an absolute stranger. I can't control them or the way that they think. Isn't it funny that we sometimes have to deal with people who are just completely clueless? And then you laugh it off.
But how do I affect change?
Well, you don't bother affecting change with him.
I didn't either.
No.
I thought he also looking at me going, I'm a female of a certain age, and he had that absolute, patriarchal thing going on. Like, why would you challenge me?
I mean, I think that what you might end up doing is incorporating some elements of that conversation and that gentleman into a character that you'll write in a story.
I will, and that's
future.
me. And that's me. I am a writer, and I can use this podcast as a loudspeaker for my opinions. But I guess I'm trying to say to people who don't have a podcast and who don't write, we can laugh at these individual situations when you get so frustrated. But also I think we can find like-minded people, and we can craft something out of that thinking in some modality, don't you think?
I think that if you apply critical thinking to that process of finding humour in it, I think if you want to apply critical thinking and some self-awareness, you will work out whether what you are doing with your humour is denigrating that individual or actually laughing at the fact that, given the nature of humanity, there are a whole lot of people that we actually can't control.
We can't.
And that we accept that. We can't control what they do. Sometimes we can't control the impact that they have on us. I'm so discouraged about people and climate change, I'm just going to, go home and burn a whole lot of fossil fuels. It's that wasn't terribly funny.
But I'm thinking, rather than, okay, so you've laughed up the individual, but you understand that individual's thinking is part of a greater whole. So can you do something on social media? Can you use a social media platform to say something? I think we often feel that our voices are insignificant and we are just going to get lost in the noise. But I reckon it's worth having a shot.
Yeah.
Using some humour, finding a group that also want to affect social change, joining a group and using humour to out some of these opinions and belief systems that are actually causing damage to our society.
Yeah. So we know that they exist. I mean, look, there is a good case study of an organisation that had a very strong social agenda.
Tell me about that.
So this was an advocacy group called Rise. It was in the United States. They were advocates for sexual assaults, survivors, civil rights. So the court system wasn't terribly, helpful when it came to helping survivors of sexual assault, seek justice. And what the Rise Advocacy did was they partnered with a brand that you may know, Funny or Die.
Absolutely. Now,
Funny or Die, I actually do think is a good salient warning for people who are trying to use humour, and that is you have to be funny, otherwise you should be dead.
Yep.
Otherwise, yeah. So Funny or Die, and there's something kind of really edgy about the Funny or Die humour. We have a lot of Saturday Night Live performances. Will Ferrell, Zach Galifianakis, these kind of acerbic comedians do stuff with Funny or Die. So they used Funny or Die to generate a comedic video that exposed the absolute absurdity of the existing laws. And that video went viral, because it was funny. And also because it was about addressing something important.
Right?
It had cut through.
Yep.
And the result of that was that they had over 100,000 signatures on a petition that helped pass a Sexual Assault Survivors Bill of Rights Act in the United States legislation. Yep. So, that was definitely a situation where they took on the absurdity, they made it funny, they shared it. A whole lot of people realised that there was something that needed attention, and it got it.
So I guess the upshot of all of this is that it's often as we sit in our lives in the middle of these huge social waves of injustice that are washing over us, that we feel alone and unable to actually combat. And I guess what we're saying is don't feel alone. Do reach out to a group of people. There will definitely be, this is the upside of the internet. And the upside, maybe there's even people that you physically know in your community, but reach out and see if you can craft a message that does have some humorous aspects that will challenge some of these social elements of disinformation that are coming at us. See if you can, get a group together. Don't feel alone. Because you can always find a group of people, and if nothing else, you can laugh at the fact that you feel awful about it.
Do you know I use humour in our relationship in order to, deal with the challenges that you present me with? I don't do it terribly well.
Was that an example of it? That's terrible.
Yeah, well, no. This is just a statement of fact. Like sometimes.
It's just about me complaining about the mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll be complaining about the mess, and sometimes complaining about the mess is very constructive, and it
hurry up. We're at the end of the podcast. We don't
now
want to
you're
go back
hurrying
in.
me
Yes,
up.
I don't
the
want
detail.
to go back into this. We're about to finish the podcast.
Yeah,
hurry up.
Okay. So sometimes I try to make little jokes.
Doesn't work. You're really bad at that.
Well,
they never land well. All they do is irritate me.
Well, this is pretty distressing.
Do not take David's example, listeners.
I think this is going to be an ongoing story. Not that we'll necessarily bring it into the podcast, but you've just gone from the get together with a group of friends and take on a social issue. But I just think it's also worth looking at how we sometimes do use.
Yes, whatever. All right. So thanks so much, David, for joining me on the podcast. I don't want to go back into the mess again.
Okay. So
we will go back there if you like, but not now.
No, I mean
I tell you what, don't leave socks around.
I know the outcomes that you want, and in a clear and congruent manner.
Oh my God.
I'm simply trying to coach me on how to get the best out of me when it comes to keeping things tidy.
Like a hack.
Yeah.
You want me to, okay. And on that note of how David can coach me on how to manage him better, I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for joining me. Actually, the stuff on Nietzsche was really good.
Okay.
It's a good research.
All right.
Lovely to have you, and lovely to have you, listeners, join us for this journey on humour. We hope you enjoyed it. And wherever you are in the world, stay safe, stay well, keep your critical thinking hats on. See you later. Bye. Thanks for tuning into Why Smart Women with me, Annie McCubbin. I hope today's episode has ignited your curiosity and left you feeling inspired by my anti-motivational style. Join me next time as we continue to unravel the fascinating layers of our brains and develop ways to sort out the fact from the fiction and the over 6,000 thoughts we have in the course of every day. Remember, intelligence isn't enough. You can be as smart as paint, but it's not just about what you know, it's about how you think. And in all this talk of whether or not you can trust your gut, if you ever feel unsafe, whether it's in the street, at work, in a car park, in a bar, or in your own home, please respect that gut feeling. Staying safe needs to be our primary objective. We can build better lives, but we have to stay safe to do that. And don't forget to subscribe, rate and review the podcast and share it with your fellow smart women and allies. Together, we're hopefully reshaping the narrative around women and making better decisions. So until next time, stay sharp, stay savvy, and keep your critical thinking hat shiny. This is Annie McCubbin signing off from Why Smart Women. See you later. This episode was produced by Harrison Hess. It was executive produced and written by me, Annie McCubbin.